But anyway, the rest of our heroes make it to Paris in time for the peace accords. And before the ceremony begins, right, the real Bolivar comes through and he pitching the Sentinel program to a bunch of like US and South Vietnamese representatives, right? And brings up the fact that the Sentinels will only attack mutants and not humans, right? So he has his guidance system installed in each of them, and he has one of his in his hand. I like that it goes off the second that he activates it, right? Which means that there's a mutant in the same room. It turns out to be, well, one of the guys, and we see how, well, Raven ended up assuming the identity in the first place, right? And yeah, Raven reveals herself. She starts kicking ass in that sexy, flexible way that she does. And in the process, she grabs a gun and aims it at Bolivar, right? And, you know, conveniently, our hero show up just in time to try to talk her out of killing him, right? And Stryker Jr. is there, right? And he teases Raven, and Magneto pushes him away with his powers, right? So while Charles is calming down Raven, Logan stares at Stryker. Archie forgot about this moment, right? And the man get like instant PTSD because he is remembering the Weapon X program, and it just pops up in his mind. And I like that moment though, like just the instance of that happening affecting the whole psychic link that he has with Kitty. So, you know, and it kind of raises the stakes a little bit, right? At the same time now, Eric uses his powers to grab the same gun that Raven had, and he aims it at her. And of course, being Eric is just like, you know what? It's about the future of mutants. They could be at risk if you stay alive. So sorry, you know, I had to kill you, you know. and jumps and grabs him. But Eric is like able. I love how you do that, right? So he just using his mutant powers to fire off the gun, right? And then, well, Raven gets hit in the leg as she busts through a window, right? And Logan becomes more unstable in both timelines, right? I like that, right? And then that's the moment where he unsheaths his claws and wounds Kitty, right? But then Hank now tries, and then Hank at the same time trying to subdue his beast transformation, right? Another moment that works too, right, in terms of the fleshing out of this world now, is how the onlookers, right, responding to all this, because they're seeing Mystique in blue running around, and then Magneto flying down, and then Beast showing up and all that kind of stuff now. And it have like, oh gosh, just to touch on Magneto for a bit, right? So we have a few what I call Magneto is the most powerful mutant ever moments, right? So in this particular moment, the man pull Raven towards him using the bullet that's in her leg. I see that like, all right, Magneto is the most powerful mutant ever, you know? And then the man pull the bullet out, and then look to hit her, about to hit her, right? About to hit her with it, right? And that's when B shows up, and then they have a fight in the water, in this this
fountain.
Yeah. And even though like Beast thinking that he draw Magneto, right? But the man's still able to just rip this fence off and wrap Beast with it, though. You know what I mean? And that was actually a great moment.
He was pulling all the metal towards him when he was under the water.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
To subdue Beast, but also previously, one moment in that part that kind of cracked me up was when Logan was trying to slip between past and future.
Yeah, because he was like, wait, who's you? And then you see Hank, it's like, oh, who's this? It'll be like, yeah, the man had no clue what's going on. So I like that, the whole temporary memory loss. Yeah, that was really cool.
Charles telling him that you had acid.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like,
you had acid.
You're an acid. You're an acid. Someone gave you really bad acid.
Really bad acid.
It's like that part had me cracking up.
I mean, it's the early 70s. It's the early 70s too, so yeah, you know, acid, right?
But that was the first real interaction. I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, that humans would have realized that mutants were real, because like the Cuban Missile Crisis was more military, so that would have been hush hush. Only the people in the rooms would know. But their fight in the middle of Paris would have been the first time that they would have actually like seen that mutants exist and, you know, they're a danger to society, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, in the process though, both Raven flees and she assumes the identity of an old man. Magneto walks away and Beast frees himself, right? And of course, you know, there's this person with this with this what you call it by I forget the millimeter type camera where it is.
The 8 millimeter?
Filming everything. 8 millimeter.
8 millimeter.
Filming everything. Yeah.
That's supposed to be Bryan Singer doing a thing, wasn't it? Because he had a
that is
yeah.
That is Bryan Singer, yeah.
Right.
And the guy who Mystique transforms herself into is the cinematographer.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that, right? There's a great deleted scene. I'll just mention a few deleted scenes in this, right? Where you see Nixon, right, asking his staff about who these weird characters are, right? And Bolivar's there as well, and then he ended up pitching the whole Sentinel program to the president, and he's like, yeah, let me do it, right? But in the end, he mentions how he wants Raven alive for research purposes, right? And it's a great narrative moment, right? Because it reminds us that, it's a reminder that the early version of the Sentinel is not like the one that we see in the future, right? So I love that little bit of world building there, right? So because of what happened there at the Peace Summit, Charles basically had to go back to his wheelchair. And he re-enters Cerebro, which he hasn't been in ages, right?
Right.
And I should mention too, there was a moment where like the serum was wearing off and his legs, became immovable again, right? So it was like that, right? But because he is just so emotionally messed up, Charles is not able. He looking for Raven now, but he can't really focus properly now because his mind is just all messed up, right? And then in a genuinely powerful moment, right, for me, Logan pretty much tell him, look, tap into my mind, right? But those just look at my future, but look at Charles's older self, right? And yeah, you're literally, and it's and what I love though, it's actually Charles that the young Charles communicate with, right? Because they have like a night. Well, even though it's mostly Patrick who were talking to them, right? But yeah, they actually converse though. But I like that it's not some symbolic representation of the old Charles. It's actually Charles in the future who is talking to young Charles. So I thought that was actually like a great moment though. But the thing is, just to touch on the whole director's cut thing, right? It's really those quieter moments though, right? That initially I thought were dull and they were dragging the film along, but like seeing it now with more mature eyes, I like, wow, like it really adding a lot to the story though. Like this is really great, right? But anyway, so Magneto again, showing that he's the most powerful mutant ever. Do somewhere else, Dreadhouse. Like the man like hijacked this train that was transporting these Sentinels, right? And the man used the train line itself to literally
Wreck with them.
hack into the systems of each Sentinel, Dread. And you're like, wow, like,
he laced the Sentinels with metal, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and they're like, wow, you're the most powerful mutant ever. Sorry, what's that?
We've got Trash design them to deal with him in particular as well, huh?
Yeah. Raven returns to the mansion now, and she get that nice little intimate moment with Hank, because they had one in first class before he tried the serum on himself and then he turned into Beats, right? And it's a really nice moment as well too, right? But Back to the Future now. Kitty is struggling to keep the cycling going because she's bleeding now because the wounds that she received, right? And this is me in the raw cut version, right? So Iceman recommends that there's someone else that could take her power and continue the link. And that will be Rogue, right? Played by, at the time, who was still, sorry, my mistake, because True Blood had already ended. Yeah, Anna Paquin, right?
Anna Paquin.
Yeah. But in the future of this show here, everybody assumed that she was dead, right? But it's like, no, she actually is alive, and she's actually in Cerebro itself, in in Xavier's mansion, right? Where the Sentinels they already set up there, so they experimented on her, right? So they can use her powers to become more powerful. I like that. That's really smart right in there, right? And also, fun fact, there was like a love triangle going on between Kitty, Rogue, and Bobby. But that was in the last stand, but nobody cares because it's the last stand, so, Yeah.
I wasn't exactly thrilled about... Like, this is the thing about watching the Rogue cut. Like, I feel like, and I could be wrong, because I remember when I was watching the theatrical cut, there might have been allusions there, but they never really dived into it. So, like, in Last Stand, she's there talking to Bobby, and there's something happening there, and that sets Rogue off about the fact that she can't touch her boyfriend and all this kind of stuff. But I sat down and I watched the Rogue cut with her in a Kitty in an active relationship with Bobby, and I just, that whole thing for me just didn't feel earned. Like how some people had issues with the Forge and Storm relationship in X-Men 97 didn't feel earned for some people. That for me, I looked at it and I just couldn't get my head behind it. So even when he goes and he
well,
gets,
just on the subject of that, I just felt they could have fleshed out a
Yeah.
little bit more because, like,
at
Forge
least,
literally
because
like meeting woman for like a day and a half is like, you know what, Storm, I love you and I just want to help you. It's like, wait, whoa,
I
easy there,
accept
bro.
that maybe some time had passed between Forge and I accept that some time had passed between episodes 3 and 4 with Forge. But with these two here, I really couldn't see it. I sat down there, I watched them do their little kiss, I watched them do their whole thing, and I just it really, I looked at it and I was like, nope, this is I'm not invested. I don't feel anything.
Well, I guess it's a weird thing when it comes to like superhero hookups. So like, like a character will be with someone, then that person might go away or die or whatever, and then they just instantly hook up with somebody else just so, you know what I mean? It's I don't know, it's kind of weird, right? I don't want to say it's bad writing, it's just kind of weird, right? But here, no, just going back to going back to what it is you had said earlier, Ricardo, right? We get this simple, but it's a very smart bit of editing now, where you get two events taking place in 1973 in the future involving Magneto, right? You see old Magneto and Iceman making their way into Cerebro to save Rogue, right? But this is intercut now with young Magneto making his way into the Pentagon. And I like the fact that you're not really sure what's going on with Magneto, with young Magneto here, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I like that young Magneto do have like these two metal balls, right? Which he, use as as a weapon basically, right? But I like that it reminded me a lot like what Magneto had in X2, where like when he like suck up the metal from the guy's
the
like,
escaping
body, and use that to escape. Yeah.
Very similar.
So I like that, and he did a similar thing where he used that as a projector, right? So he does that here. Young Magneto does that here, right? But can't remember all the details, but I think that's how it went on, right? I know. Let's look at it a bit. I didn't know is just me or like Fassbender in this particular sequence look like how you look in the Killer. He had this kind of fedora hat on. No, sorry, not fedora hat. He had this kind of hat on. But watching him, like,
shades.
oh yeah, the shades. Like, dude, this is like the Killer, bro. Like how you look there. That was really cool, right? But yeah, I love how the scenes are intercut, though. You know what I mean? So you're seeing old Magneto, encountering Rogue, and he's like he frees her, and then at the same time, young Magneto enters this room, and you see like a bunch of you just basically see like these keepsakes, if you will, right? And it's actually Angel's wings, if you remember Angel from First Class. Havoc's chest plate and Magneto's helmet, which he had taken from Sebastian, and he make it purple, so he make it
and also the coin he killed
and
Sebastian.
The coin, yes, the coin that he used to kill Sebastian was like, all right, nice. And I did have this great shot where you just see like where all right, so basically you see old Magneto uses powers to free Rogue, and then young Magneto uses powers to retain his helmet. I love how they cut that out. That was brilliant, right? But again, I understand why they cut it, but I thought that was just a great moment, right? Anyway, back in the future now, Magneto, Iceman, and Rogue are attacked by Sentinels. So like right after the free Rogue, they get attacked, right? And Iceman fends them off as best as he can, but yeah, unfortunately, he get killed because the Sentinels adapt to his powers and they end up killing him though. And it's sad too, because you hear Rogue yell, "Bobby!" Because remember they were in love back in like X2 and Last Stand, right? But yeah, that was a big moment, right? Rogue meets Kitty, and then she tell her that Bobby didn't make it, and then she just touches her hand and then acquires Kitty's powers and then resumes the whole psychic link thing, right? While all this is taking place now, Raven gets inside Cerebro, right, back in the past now, and she do it real dread though. She assumed Charles's likeness now, and yeah, she just destroy the headset dread. You know what I mean? So like, there's no way for Charles to track her down now, right? Even though he tries later on in the film, right? But yeah, Hank has an idea of where she may go to, right? So he finds out that there's this presidential announcement in Washington the next day, and Bolivar will be there. So yeah, obviously he's like, she'll go there to kill Bolivar, right? And back in the future now, shit gets worse because you see a whole squad of Sentinels now showing up now to try to wipe out the mutants. I forgot to mention too, they're hiding out in this temple in China. So yeah, you know what I mean? They just send the whole squad out just to wipe them out, right? So on the day of the announcement now, Hank, Logan, and Charles are there, right? And it's a really funny moment though, like genuinely funny now, where Logan walked through the metal detector and then go off and he he just catches himself like, wait, no, like what? You know what I mean? That was really cool, like, because he don't have the adamantium in him as yet. That was really funny, right?
Yes.
And it's a little bit nice, a little bit with Charles too, because Charles sit down, he have a wheelchair on, and he's sitting next to a war veteran who is also in a wheelchair there. And the man say, "Oh, I lost my legs in this war, blah blah blah." And then Charles say, "Friendly fire," you know what I mean? Because that's a reference to First
Right.
Class.
What
And the
happened?
guy
Yeah.
says
Yeah,
the worst kind. I like that.
Right.
That's a nice little reference, right? So even and I like that those scenes are just like blink and you miss it. So even if you don't remember it or if you never saw First Class, at least you'll be like, oh, that's kind of clever. And then when you see it for yourself, it's like, oh, that's what it really
Good
means,
enough.
right? So I like that.
Mhm.
The third act though
Yeah,
starts
you
off.
kind of reminiscent of Lieutenant Dan a little bit.
Lieutenant-
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump,
Oh, you're right,
Yeah.
right. Yes, right. So the third act now we're in the third act, right? Starts off strong, right? So Nixon reveals the Sentinels, and in the case of these Sentinels, right, I do like the design of them. No, they are not the ones that we grew up on, but they are still giant and they look practical, right? I actually don't
They
mind
look like what I
the
know.
silver design. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I
Hey, look, there's a nice proto Sentinel look now. It's like,
That's
it's cool.
great.
Mhm,
Exactly, yeah.
mhm.
It's like you
Yeah,
feel
it's
like, oh, there's a,
prototype.
yeah, exactly. It's what the first Sentinels are gonna
It's
look like. Yeah, they're gonna
prototype
look like that.
Sentinels.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's prototypes.
Raven is assuming the role of a Secret Service agent, so she walking towards the podium to kill Bolivar. Magneto does another "I'm the most powerful mutant ever" moment. Dog, the
Lift the
gradual
entire
step,
stadium.
Yeah,
gradual step in skill sets this man get from First Class to Days of Future Past, though,
Yeah, we
is
can blame Charles for
staggering,
that.
dog. Cause the man lifts
lift the
a
entire stadium.
He lifts a stadium, dread. The man leave the field, He lifts the stadium off
He
the
carried
ground
it over
house.
to the White House.
And he's so dread, he just drop it around the White House, dread, so nobody could get in and out. When I see that, I was like, God damn. What?
Yeah.
Jesus, bro.
But here's
Again,
my
most
little-
powerful
When
mutant
Magneto
alive, right?
wants to make a statement, he makes a statement. I will give him that.
I know, boy. Wow. Yeah. Daniel.
Here's my little nitpick. I wanted a little bit more match cuts between past and future. Like the way in
Oh,
my
right, because there's more stuff in 73 going on, and I would admit, and not much in the future, but they'll get to the future eventually. But I understand what you mean. They should have more match cuts at this particular point. Yeah.
when they jump in between the past and the future, I wanted a little bit more match cuts. Like when some people flying, like when Storm flying, you could cut to a Sentinel. Like when Magneto flying, cut to another Sentinel flying there, or cut to Magneto flying in the past.
Right.
Like so a little bit more
Yeah.
match cuts. Like that, I thought that would have been like. And when
I
they're
guess-
going down, when they're going
Yeah,
down in
I
the
guess it's
bunker.
probably not to confuse the audience visually, I guess, but I totally understand where you're coming from. But yeah, sorry. Go on.
Just from a creative standpoint, I'm just thinking about it from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, right? But yeah, speaking of the future now, the Sentinels launch the attack on old Charles and the others. Bishop get a little moment to shine though, but for me, it's really Storm and Magneto who get to kick some ass during the sequence, right? And yeah, you know what I mean, shit hits the fan though. Magneto gets hit with a piece of shrapnel. Cause I actually forgot this happened though. The man used the Blackbird to like destroy a bunch of Sentinels. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, he get hit. Storm gets stabbed through the back and she gets thrown off one of the roofs. I was like, what? And dog, I should mention too, boy, just how these mutants get killed in the future though is kind of graphic though, but in not R-rated graphic though, but just the way how they go out though is really, really grim though. Case in point, Colossus get ripped in half, dread. But the one I really feel it, boy, is Bishop, dread. The man get blasted with heat rays to the point that the man overload and explode as well. Like, wow, dread, like the man is literally like a living battery, right? But the man like get overloaded and he blew up, dread. Like, jeez, right?
Can somebody tell me what was
It's
the point
brutal.
of in both theatrical and the other version? What is the point of Warrior Dude? Who I still. What was his deal? What is his? His
name is
Warpath.
I think he had said before he's supposed to be able to I think it's to detect, like they just have him there to detect the Sentinels now, but I was wondering if it's just in the present time or in the like if he could detect them in different time periods or something like that. I'm not too sure.
Because they had this one scene where he was standing up. This is in the future, and he's standing up on one of the buildings, and he can see them for like a mile and a half away. So like, clearly he has good eyesight. But I've never heard, and now granted this is me just being on the periphery, but I never heard of Warpath. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching him in both the theatrical and the road cut, and I'm like, what were you there for? So I had to ask. I really had to ask.
You want to know why he's there? He's there to look stoic. That's his point. He looks stoic. He's like, oh, Sentinels are coming. You know what I mean? That's his rule. But he literally could have gotten anybody else to play him, I guess. I don't know, right? But yeah, back in 1973 now, Magneto uses some reels to bring down Logan. And dude, again, just with how characters gain, not so much killed though, but gain hurt though, right? These reels are like stuck into his back and legs though, right? And Magneto lifts him up. And I had to look the name of the river. I think it's called the Potomac River.
Potomac?
Yeah, he lifted him up and literally throw him into the river, Dread, you know?
Yeah.
And all this, of course...
Just when I thought Wolverine had the jump on him.
Yeah, boy. yeah, exactly. Yeah, and of course, all this is affecting Logan in the future, right? Because in the future right now, right? Yeah, he is close to having his mind snapped, right? Because, yeah, he going through a lot of pain, right? There's a bunk, well, in the White House itself, right? There's a bunker, and in the deleted scene, in the road cut, you see that that Nixon and Bolivar and a bunch of people there. I think it's in the theatrical cut, but I can't remember, right? But Raven is also there, also disguised as the Secret Service agent, right? And yeah, she about to kill him, right? But then there's like a rumbling in the bunker, and again, Magneto showing why he's the most powerful mutant ever, pulls the bunker out of the White House too, and onto the yard itself. I was like, wow, right? So that's running through how this to that place, all right? So Raven diverts Eric by assuming the role of Nixon, right? I thought that was really cool. And a nearby Sentinel noticed both of them as mutants, right? And charges towards them. Eric now uses his powers to dismantle it, and then Raven pulls out a plastic gun like the ones that the guard had in the Pentagon. If I one gripe, where she get that gun from?
She got it from Stryker. Stryker had it.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay. I probably missed that scene, right? I thought it was just something that I just sort of came and went. I really didn't know what happened, right? But yeah, she have the gun now and she fires a shot at Eric, right? The bullet goes through the side of his neck. And then she does this nice little heel kick to the face and knock him out with the gun, right? So Charles now, he gets into Raven's head and tells her not to kill Bolivar, right? And well, reluctantly, she drops the gun, which of course all to the future, right? Because in the future now, that's when all the Sentinels are about to kill everybody, and then as they about to like launch a heat rays, everything just sort of just wipe out. Like just the slate is wiped completely, right? I love that. Raven removes Eric's.
But here's why this ending is so bad and good. Good right, because but good because it's a Hollywood movie. So I mean you can't have no bad ending here. It's a Hollywood movie. But here's the other thing. They create this new timeline where Mystique is a good guy now. Right. And Mystique is not a good guy in the comics. Her morals are always very unclear. It's like, yeah.
Oh, you mean Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, well, I came out of it as if she will still be immoral when it comes to how she should look at humans, right? So I did see as she just automatically become a hero, but nah, like she'll still be an anti-hero, just like how Magneto is. At least that's how I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, but I was like, but from Apocalypse on, what is like they clearly was looking to make her a good guy. So it's like,
all right, that's actually true. Yeah. Again, it's Apocalypse. Nobody was that or what's remember, right?
Jennifer Lawrence has to have good marketing. She can't be no villain.
Exactly. Like.
Between whatever new reality in the future exists and all the stuff that would have happened in the quote-unquote present films, i.e. like Apocalypse and stuff, she has more than enough time, if she wasn't killed, in Phoenix, she would have had enough time to vacillate between being, okay, I'm good here, I'm immoral there. So she may not have necessarily, been a bad character or a villain character later on, but she might have still been that kind of person who would be like, walk the tightrope. But then they got killed. She got killed. So, whatever.
Well, that's anyway. So back to 1973 now. Raven removes Eric's helmet now, so Charles gets inside his head, so he could use his powers basically to free him because there was some rubble that was trapping Charles, right? Eric flies off. Raven walks away, and we'll never see them again until Apocalypse, right? Which again I could barely remember, right? And as for Logan, he gets two endings, right? So in the future or a future, right? Logan wakes up in his room, and it turns out to be, well, Xavier's school again, right? Bobby and Rogue are together. Kitty and Colossus are there. Well, Kitty teaching a class. Kelsey Grammer was there. It's like, hey, you know what I mean? That was cool seeing him as Beast. That was a nice little cameo there, right? But the big surprise of everyone was seeing Jean Grey and Cyclops. Don't mind, right. Cyclops had these weird shades, but whatever, it was Jean Grey and Cyclops again, right? Because remember, I don't know, like in retrospect, I didn't really care about that so much, but I remember a lot of people, not liking the fact that Cyclops died in the last stand.
Yeah,
I remember people was like real pissed off like that, like, oh, you could do this, blah blah blah. I was like, not that I hated the character in that movie, but it was just like, well, okay, whatever. But anyway, so this pretty much is resetting the events of the last stand, though. And I'll never forget seeing this moment for the first time. Like, how they actually reset it now to the point that, well, home media releases aside now, it's almost as if Last Stand exists or don't matter anymore. Yeah. Kinda, sorta. So I know, agree to disagree. Is this like a full reset of the Last Stand, or is it just a reality that we could accept here in this movie?
But to add on to the studio happy ending, it's like in the comics, the future never turns out well for these mutants. So it's like okay, you're giving them a bright ending. That's the studio ending. If you left it in the hands of it's like if you left it in the hands of a comic book fan, it's like once Logan get back to the future, it's like shit get even more messed up. So shit get even more fucked up.
Some shit will always be
that's true, right? So in the second ending that Logan has now, this is back in 1973, right? Because there's a moment in the future where Logan meets with old Professor X now and asks him, well, tell me what happened after 1973, and then, well, Professor X is like, you know what, this is what happened, right? So we cut back to 73, and Logan is rescued from drowning by this police boat, right? And one of the people on that boat is Stryker Jr., right? And in a nice little bit of blocking, you see him looking at Logan on the steel bed, right? And it's similar to, when he went through the Weapon X program, right? Like when he was subjugated. So I like that. That was really nice, right? But in a nice twist now, you realize that Stryker Jr. is actually Mystique, right? So they do the whole, it's the dilution of the eyes or whatever it is that you see in the old X-Men films. They do that, right? But I actually don't mind that as an end, though, you know what I mean? Because with the background you hear, well, the young Xavier talking about, just basic future talk and possibilities and all that kind of stuff, right? But it kind of opens...
The future is never truly set.
Right, exactly. But it's how it just opens the doors to, the possibilities of what may come, right? So the moment when you hear the theme song from the old movies pop up now, you're excited. I'll never forget, like, just my pause raised when I hear the music again now, you know what I mean? And just thinking, oh my god, this is such a great movie, right? So in the roll cut, there's a mid-credit scene, well, I should say before the credits start rolling, right? Where you actually see Bolivar in what I assume is the same Pentagon prison, right? It's just a quick scene, it don't really matter, but I guess the whole idea is that he is there, but it's the whole idea of like... Sorry?
Yeah, he's fully bearded and everything like that.
He's fully bearded, But I as short as it was, I guess it's just the idea of like, how mutants are looked at as animals. Now you have a human there in this cage, if you will, like an animal. So that's the point of it, right? It don't really matter. It's just there to just tell you, oh, this is what happened to Bolivar, right? But it is the post-credit scene, though, and how that made us all excited, whether we see it by But when I see it today, all I see is squandered potential, Hus.
Yep.
The hype
Yeah.
that built around the scene, right? Like the moment you see sand, right? That's all we've seen. We just seen sand, and we're like, oh shit. We doing apocalypse, and we just hearing this chanting, hearing this chanting, hearing this chanting. You just seeing like this crowd, like this large crowd, like just seeing this chant and whatnot, right? And you're seeing this guy, this guy
This in his
put it
name,
up.
and Sabanur.
Yeah, in Sabana,
And Sabanur.
right.
Sabanur.
And then it just gets better, boy, because you're seeing like this pyramid being dismantled and whatnot. Then the camera just turns around, and you're seeing the white version of Apocalypse. And then it get even better because you see the four horsemen of the
Yes.
Apocalypse across. And you're like, oh my god, Jed.
Before Camel Man.
Yeah, the four camel man, and we were all like, dog, when the next X-Men movie coming out, right? And then Apocalypse
It's gonna be
happened, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I see this scene today, I just like, wow, boy, like all the hype, everybody up for nothing, Jed. Like Oscar Isaac, Jed, like respect to Oscar Isaac, but you want no Apocalypse, bro? Like, come on, right? But yeah, so in conclusion, right, this film to me still holds up. And I'll just make this little controversial statement here. I actually found myself enjoying the director's cut way more, like looking at it now, you know what I mean? Because back then when I first saw it, I was like, all right, they're dragging the scene out, we don't need this, blah, 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 whatever. I guess it's because I just watched it on a Friday night. I was just legit tired at that point in time. Maybe it was that. But I felt like the stuff that was taken out, even though the theatrical cut is still fantastic, right? But just the more detail that they put into this too, makes it work even more, right? So for me, just comparing it to First Class, right? While I do love First Class, right? My one teeny tiny little nitpick with First Class though is that while I appreciate the brisk pace of it, right? It's told in this really not fast pace, but it doesn't waste any time, right? It just cuts the chase quickly, right? They were and while they were in like there weren't that much like character building moments, right? Even though they were there, but I felt like they could have been more. They could have had a little more breathing room in between those scenes. But I understand the movie has to move at a certain pace to get to the point, right? And I appreciate that, right? But I guess it's because it's Bryan Singer and his, because of what he did with the first two X-Men movies. Yeah, you got those moments where you got those little quieter moments. You got those moments where characters could breathe and kind of express how they feel and all that kind of stuff. So you got a lot more character moments here. I felt, right? So whether it's with Hank or with Raven or with Charles and whatnot, right? You got those moments, but still the story was still moving at an even pace. They raise the stakes and whatnot. They play with the time stuff very well. Of course, you could there's always inconsistency when it comes to time travel stories, but I felt like they make it coherent here and it totally works. And just seeing the old cast meet the new cast is great, even though it's in different timelines. That's really cool. People will argue for days as to whether Wolverine should have been the one who should have gone back to stop everything, or if it should have been Bishop. But I think that because Wolverine is the most popular character anyway, but they make it work. They make him work in all of this too, right? But I'll close this before I get to rating. But the beauty of it too is that it was not a Wolverine-led film, right? There were other characters involved. You got old Charles, new Charles, old Magneto, new Magneto, all that kind of stuff, right? So it was not the Wolverine show, right? It was other characters involved. It was everybody who had to play the role, and I thought that they did it well, right? Direction is strong, writing is strong, even in both theatrical and director's cut. Music is fantastic. I should mention also to the VFX too, like looking at it now, still holds up. Like there was little moments where I was like, nah, that looked fake or that looked cheap or not. Nah, I thought that they really stepped things up from First Class as well too, as far as VFX work, right? But yeah, this was a huge gamble. It's something that could have easily fell apart if they got the wrong writer or if they didn't write it properly. But I felt like the people behind the scenes, even though Simon Kinberg, who we kind of hate for this show, Dark Phoenix, and Matthew Vaughn himself, right? Yeah, they sat down and they hammer it out though. They make this story work for what it is. They justify this whole time travel thing, this whole this whole crossover thing, and yeah, we actually got a great X-Men movie out of it, right? I wouldn't say it is the best X-Men movie out there, but I would say as a follow up from First Class, but yeah, this was fantastic, right? So yeah, rating wise, I'll just rating the road cut well, just in general, right? So this includes the theatrical and road cut, but I'm more based on the road cut. Yeah, for me, like 4.5 out of 5, man. This still holds up, man. And yeah, writing is strong. Everything just works, right? But again, it's just a shame that from there, you know what I mean, just like the first trilogy, you know what I mean, two movies are great, and then afterwards they just drop the ball, but they just don't know what to do with these characters, right? You know what I mean? Squander potential, as I say. But yeah, this was a step in the right direction in terms of just wiping the slate clean from the old trilogy and just kind of just forwarding this new the first class basically of X-Men into a new direction, right? But again, apocalypse happened, right? And do even talk about Dark Phoenix. So yeah, that's that. Dear Ricardo, your final thoughts and written on Days of Future Past.
I dug it for it was what it was. It was again at the time. I can't enjoy myself in good conscience for it now because of what to come, right? It's just unfortunate. So it's just really it's really sad that they blew that chance. But yeah, the movie as it is really enjoyable. They make it work, good workable piece. And I was absent for a little while, but yeah, the one thing I felt that they could do better was they kind of squandered the whole Quicksilver thing. They just come up with a bullshit reason as to why you have to leave. Like, dude, these are speedster. You'd solve like all the problems. Whatever, normal Hollywood writing crap, right? But yeah, other than that, just generally great. Not a masterpiece by any stretch of imagination, but still workable. And it is a damn shame that they couldn't build from this. But yeah, that's how it is.
Right. Daniel, your final thoughts and rating on Days of Future Past.
Yeah, this one is certainly one of the better, if not the best, X-Men movie of the Fox universe. My nitpicks aside, I really love this one. Xavier character arcs were on point. Like I really liked Xavier's arc in the film. I did kind of think maybe it was a bit of a mistake to regress Xavier so much in the film to the point where he can't handle all the voices, the telepathic voices in his head. But I get it; it's part of his arc, metaphorically, to get him back on his feet. Yeah, I like the switching between the past meeting the future. I was like, this is a really good one. It's a shame that the like everyone said, it's a shame that they couldn't keep this momentum going for the future X-Men films. But overall, I gotta say, it's a 9. Well, I would give it a high 8 out of 10, closer to a 9 out of 10.
All right, fair enough. And of course, last but not least, Tracy, your final thoughts and rating on Days of Future Past.
I'll give you this joke. There is a thing that comes up on Twitter ever so often that says the story of the X-Men is basically Charles and Eric's breakup, and they make it the whole world's problem. Because I always go back to that.
It's a bromance,
scene.
Bro. It's a bromance.
Yeah.
It's a bromance.
You abandoned me, you took her away, and you abandoned me. I'm like, bruv. Okay. But in terms of this film, so here's my thing. I thoroughly enjoyed the theatrical. There's things about the rogue cuts that I am not really a big fan of. So theatrical, I would give it an 8. Rogue cut, I'm going to give it a 6. Because even though like it expanded a little bit more and, you could actually see, okay, well, Kitty was injured and, instead of having her sit there and suffer for the whole movie, you actually brought in Rogue. That was a brilliant idea instead of just showing up at the end, her holding Bobby's hand in the theatrical. I still, maybe I'd need to go back and actually do a dive on it, but I still feel like the theatrical did what it needed to say. This is not Snyder, who gives you a theatrical Batman versus Superman, and then you have to wait until you get the director's cut to actually understand what was the thing. So yeah, my favorite of the Fox movies will still remain X2, X-Men United. That's still top tier for me. So X-Men United, First Class, and then of course Days of Future Past is inside there. But I would give, those are the ones that I think actually hold water for me. Like I could go back and sit down and watch it without fast forwarding anything. Days of Future Past, good movie. Theatrical, very good. Road cut, I ain't really a big fan of it, but I will still, I'll still watch it from time to time.
Right. And last point before we wrap things up now. Now I'm wondering what the future of the X-Men live action universe is gonna be when Deadpool and Wolverine drops now. Like I'm wondering, is it gonna try to continue that X-Men series at all, or is it just forget that, it's just gonna be Deadpool and Wolverine and whatever references we make to the old movies, we make them, but other than that, it's just gonna be these two going forward and forget everybody else. Like I don't know if that's gonna be the approach going forward. I don't know if you all have any theories on what the future of these X-Men movies might be.
Well, for me, having him.
We'll see. But all I gotta say is it's good to be an X-Men fan right now, considering that we have Deadpool and Wolverine coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
My whole thing is like the fact that you even brought in the TVA as a major factor here for it. I'm inclined to see certain things seeded. I wouldn't be surprised if they seeded maybe one or two new actors to come in terms of what the MCU X-Men would look like. I know they don't have anything solid yet, because right now we're focusing on Fantastic Four, but I feel that we will get some stuff seeded. Although that shot in the X-Men, in the Deadpool trailer, with them going through the portals, like Stephen Strange's portals, that kind of something, it does lend itself to, okay, well, Deadpool is here. Does Hugh make himself over on this side, which I don't necessarily need, but I really do think they would start seeding things in that movie. So I'm eager to see what that would look like.
Yeah, indeed. So when that movie drops, when is it dropping? July, I believe it is, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think in late July or something. I think so.
Right. But yeah, I guess we'll see in due time, man. I guess we'll see in due time.